Hello, everyone. Welcome into Stacking the Box. I am Matt Verderame. He is Iain MacMillan. We have a lot of football to get to. Actually, not as much as normal because there's 6 teams on a bye this week. So we have a little bit of time here to kind of go through each one. Maybe even wrap up a little quick. Who knows? Maybe it gives you some time to get a beer, get some chips, whatever your heart desires. But that all said, we do have 12 games we have to get through. Of course, the Thursday night game done and over with. The Eagles pounding on the Houston Texans, although I believe the Texans covered, correct?
By a point.
They did. Okay. So, underdogs, as far as the cover situation, already 1-0. There are a couple of big lines this week. We'll get to all of them, of course. But most of the lines, pretty tight. So, first off, Iain, how you doing? How's your weekend going?
Going pretty well. It's getting to that point of the season, Matt. I'm sure you feel this. Obviously, the both of us are extremely busy during the football season, and it's right around now where I hit a little bit of a wall. I'm kind of tired, to be completely honest, but I'm feeling good.
Good. Well, I got back late last night from a wedding. So you want to talk about being playing the heart of a champion. Today's it. All right. But I was buoyed by the fact that the Devils may actually never lose another game.
Devils are good.
It's unbelievable.
They're actually because not only is their record good, but you look at advanced analytics and they're like top of the NHL in almost everything. I don't know how or why this is happening, but yeah, we talked about it last week and they still keep winning.
You know things are good when you go out to Western Canada, where the Devils, even when they were winning cups, could never win a game and just won all 3 games. Crazy. Literally, it's the first time they've done that since 1996. All right. Anyway, nobody cares except me. I'm pumped. 9-3, baby. Go Devs. All right. Let's get into the first game. Let's do it. AFC used to be an old AFC East matchup. Now it's just an interdivision matchup. The Patriots in Foxborough taking on Sam Ehlinger and the Indianapolis Colts. The money line for the old home team, -225. The spread was 5.5 a lot of the week. It is now 4.5 for New England. The total is 40.5. Weather should not be much of a factor. A little windy, not too bad. Where do you fall here on Colts and Pats in our first game of the week?
Really quick, I will update the people on our records here.
Yes, please.
Last week, I went 7-6 plus 0.45 units. You went 6-7 minus 1.13 units. That brings our season-long record to I'm at 56, 53-3 for plus half a unit. Nice. And you are 55, 56-1 for minus 5.86 units. So we're second half pairing here. I think the second half of the season, I think we're going to get hot. So
I got to tell you, I can live with being 500. I really can, because I am not a gambler. I don't look at it. So if I finish my goal is to finish over 500. So I'm there. I need one real big week and I push me over the top. What do you got on Colts and the Pats here as we kick off week 9?
So I'm on the over in this game. So I'm actually on I think half the games I'm on the total. This is one where I'm on the over. I think for the total to be set at this, I got a 39.5, but 40.5, it's the same thing. For it to be set this low, I need both offenses to be bottom 10 offenses in the NFL. And that hasn't been the case. Patriots 14th in yards per play this season. Colts 25th, but I will say I think the Colts are better with Sam Ehlinger. You look at yards per play. Their average yards per play this season was 5.1. Last week with Sam Ehlinger is up to 6.0. And also, I know the Colts have struggled to run the ball a little bit, but the Patriots haven't done a great job stopping the run, so I think the Colts can kind of get back to the run game today a little bit. I mean, this is just an insanely low total, so I'm gonna go with the over in this one.
Okay, it's a fair play. I take the Indy side of it here. Indy, I got them plus 5.5. So New England's better. I think New England wins. I also think 5.5 is just too many points. New England doesn't blow people out. Zach Wilson last week basically was playing like he had the Pats on the money line, and they beat him by 5 points.
Right.
So I don't look at this game and go, yeah, I think this is going to be a game where it just gets away from Indianapolis. I don't think the Pats are good enough to take it. Like Mac Jones has been awful this year. Awful. Like not average, not okay. He has been horrific. So I'm supposed to believe that Mac Jones is leading a blowout in this game. Now look, the case to be made for the Pats to cover is Belichick against a rookie, second-year quarterback, making a second start. Mac Jones this year has 3 touchdown passes and 7 picks. So I am just going to believe in what I think is a good Colts defense. I think it'll be a game where both teams try to run the ball. Even if it's a backdoor coverage, I don't think it's going to be, by the way. I think it's going to be a close game throughout. I will take Indy to cover the spread. I see a game something like 23-20, something like that, which would work for you as well because you'd get the over.
Let me ask you this, Matt. Are the Colts better with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback over Matt
I don't know. I've seen one game with Sam Ehlinger. They scored 16 points and lost to Washington. I have no idea.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't know.
Matt Ryan was terrible, though. Matt Ryan was tough to watch.
No, listen, you're not getting any disagreement. I don't know. I mean, Ehlinger at least gives him some movement in the pocket.
Right.
Which that helps with that line. Let's put it this way. I think there's more upside at this point with Ehlinger. I don't think they're good either way. I just don't think, like, I actually was trying to sit down and figure out who I think is going to make the playoffs in the AFC, and I don't think it's that hard to figure out the top, like, 5 or 6 of them. Then I was like, well, Pats, Chargers, and then I thought about the Colts, and I looked at the Colts schedule and immediately was like, no, they're not making the playoffs. The Colts still have to play Dallas, Philly, Giants, all these teams. I'm like, yeah, they're going to lose. Like, they're not going to handle business enough to make the playoffs. By the way, I see you, AS1999 in the chat. Just waiting for a flight in O'Hare, so make this as long as possible. I've been there, my friend. I remember going to the Super Bowl once. I had to sit in O'Hare for 13 hours delayed.
Oh.
And they boarded the plane at 1 a.m., and it was so cold that they de-iced it. But before it took off, it iced again. So they had to de-ice the whole plane. It was so late at night, they're like, don't even bother getting off. Just go to sleep. That's it. That's what we did. There must have been 6 people on that flight to Atlanta. I was on it with our old editor, Jason Cole, and Jason and I were at one point, you get to a point, you start laughing. You're like, well, what are you going to do? Hopefully for you, it is nowhere near that long of a wait, sir. All right. Let's go to the AFC East again. Let's go back to the well. This is an interesting game in some ways. The Jets are at home, second straight week, taking on a divisional opponent at the Meadowlands against the Buffalo Bills. Jets are plus 420, Bills minus 560. Totals 45.5. The line has moved significantly. The line was at one point, it was at least 12.5. I think it was 13. I could be wrong. Definitely at least 12.5. It is now 10.5. And so the weather should be nice. It's 77 degrees out, unseasonably warm in the Northeast. Do you like the Jets or the Bills here? Which side of the line are you taking?
I'm going to take the Jets. I got them earlier before it moved down. I got them at plus 12 here at home. I think, and I talk about this all the time with games that are double-digit spreads, I think for me to lay double-digit points on a team, I need them to be better, significantly better in every single aspect of the game. And it's not the case in this game because say what you want about the Jets and Zach Wilson. Their defense has been very good this season. 3rd in the NFL in opponent yards per play. I know they haven't played anyone, but they've done what they've had to do against bad teams on the defensive side of the football. And a lot of defensive statistics, once again, I know the Bills have had a much harder schedule so far, but if you look at the defensive numbers, the Jets actually outrank the Bills in a few different key areas. So because of how good their defense has played, I don't have any interest laying points on the road in a divisional matchup here. Like you look at 3rd down defense, Jets, surprisingly better than the Bills. Run defense, Jets have like one of the best run defenses in the NFL. I think they're 2nd in opponent yards per carry. So it's an ugly bet because the Jets are the Jets and the Bills are pretty good at covering these big spreads.
Right.
But I just, with it being double digits, with the Jets defense, I'll put my faith in New York, although it's an ugly bet. It's one of those ones when I hit submit on it, I've had a gross feeling in my stomach because when you bet on the Jets and they get blown out by 21 points, it feels stupid. But I got to trust the numbers, and their defense makes me think that they'll cover the spread.
I hear you. Gonzo, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. Oregon, what's up? So I was on the radio before we did this, about an hour ago before we did this, and I was talking about this game. I said, I think this game's very simple. Does Zach Wilson crap his pants, or does he not? Like that like, if Zach Wilson does not turn the ball over, I actually think the Jets can somewhat hang around in this game. I don't know that I think they can win it. I think they can hang around in it. If Zach Wilson goes out and has one of his Zach Wilson, like I'm going to throw 4 balls into coverage type games, they'll be down 31-0 at halftime. Yeah. I love the Jets defense. But Wilson just scares the hell out of me, man. Every time he throws the ball, you're like, oh, God, where's it going? I got it at a bad number for me, but I took the Bills minus 12.5 in the game. I just – because almost exactly what you said, you were like, yeah, well, I just felt nauseous when I took the Jets. I'm like, you know what? I'm taking the Bills because if this game's 14-0, 5 minutes in, I'm not going to be the person sitting there like, I can't believe I took the Jets. So – I will say this, though. It's a weird game. It's a divisional game. It's in New York. The Jets are coming off a bad performance. And as great as the Bills are, and we saw this earlier this year with the Chiefs and the Colts, sometimes you have games where, for whatever the reason, game plan, injuries, just not coming out flat, you just don't have it. I do wonder a little bit if this is a game like that for Buffalo, where it's just, you just beat Green Bay on Sunday Night Football. You always beat the Jets. It's a game that, like, if you lose, so what, right? I mean, you're going to win the division. You're still in control of the one seed. I'm not saying the Bills are going to go in there and not care, but I wonder if it's one of those moments in the season that every team has where you just kind of overlook a team. Or they get the Vikings next week.
Like when they lost to the Jaguars last season.
Right. I mean, it's just one of those games where it's like, you look every year, I don't care how good a team is, you look back and you go, God, how the hell did they lose that team? Like, I don't know. I'm taking the Bills because I'm going to ride with them pretty much every week until they prove me wrong.
Okay.
But I could see it. I could see a game where you look up and go, the Jets are up 20-10? What? Like, I mean, it happens. Plus, if you're the Jets, man, you kind of got to win. I mean, you lost to the Pats. You lose this game. Now you're 5-4, and all of a sudden things are going sideways on you. All right, let's wrap up our AFC East quartet. The Dolphins are on the road, taking on an actually pretty game Bears team. The Bears are showing some fight. I like what we've seen. And they lost to Dallas last week, but they played reasonably well by their standards. Miami is favored, of course, on the road, laying 4.5. Total is 45.5. You taking total? You taking one side? Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm taking it. I'm taking the total. I'm taking the over again. I got a 44.5 early in the week. I keep saying the same thing about the Dolphins every single week, and it's actually the over hasn't hit as high of a rate as I thought it would. But I think it has to because, and like I said, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I say the same thing about the Dolphins every week. They're an over-better's dream. They're third in the NFL in yards per play. Only the Chiefs and the Bills are averaging more yards per play than the Dolphins. They're second in the league in yards per pass attempt, 8.4 yards per throw, but then their defense stinks, ranks in the bottom 5, 6, 7 to basically everything. 26th in opponent yards per play, 25th in opponent points per play. And also the Bears defense, not as good as we've come to kind of expect from Chicago. 21st in opponent yards per play. So I'm just going to keep riding this train of Dolphins hitting the over. Like I said, it has not hit as high of a rate as I expected with their numbers, but I think it's going to. I mean, it's a high total. We're not in the 50s. I'm not even in the high 40s. It's right at 45.5 right now. So I'm still going to keep riding my strategy of betting the overs in Dolphins games.
Well, you should be happy that the game's today and not yesterday because I live out here in Chicago or outside Chicago, and the wind yesterday, anybody who watched Ohio State and Northwestern, it was unbelievable. I mean, even out here, look, it's windy out here every day, it feels like, at least from my East Coast standards. But, man, I'll tell you, yesterday, my sister-in-law got married, and I don't think I took one photo outdoors. I mean, there's just no way. There was no way anybody was taking a photo. Every woman, their hair would have been out the gate. So be thankful for your over that game was not yesterday. I'm taking Miami. I got them at -5. I just don't think the Bears can score enough to keep up in this game. And the Dolphins defense has not been good, but now they've got Chubb. Phillips is active for the game. I don't think it's a blowout. I just think it's, 27-17, something like that. Maybe 30-20. I think it's around the total, which is why I stayed away from it. I just think Miami, like, who's covering Hill and Waddle in this game? Who's doing it? I mean, but on the flip side, I don't know that the Bears, like, they've got to run to win. And if they can't run, they're done.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to be able to run in the games. They're going to have to throw it. Now, they brought in Claypool. That's fine. I don't know that makes all the difference in the world here. So give me the Dolphins to cover. I think they win by 7 to 10 points.
Okay.
By the way, on the side for the crowd here, so it's being reported by like 8 different people, like Schefter, Rapport, I think Glacier threw it out there too. Like the Packers apparently tried to trade for half the league at the deadline and couldn't do it. Claypool, Moore, Judy, Darren Waller, couldn't trade for any of them. To which I say to the Packers, stop leaking that you tried. Stop it. Okay? Because I cover this league. I understand how this works. And somebody in the Packers organization, I got a pretty idea who, is sitting there saying, hey, listen, I know we're getting killed. I'm getting killed, but we tried. Nobody cares. You don't get medals for trying. It's the National Football League. It's not 8th grade math where you get 3/4 of a point for showing your work. Nobody cares. You didn't land any of them. Also, should be noted, there was a report earlier, and I do not know who did it. I can't remember. That the Rams offered 2 first-round picks and a second for Brian Burns. And the Panthers turned that down. If that's accurate, if that actually happened, the Panthers should fire their entire front office. And the Rams need to tie Les Snead down and not let him get to a phone anymore. Like, 2 first-round picks in a second. That's quarterback stuff. Like, for a guy who's never had 10 sacks, that's an abomination all the way around. I can't. That's insanity.
The Rams don't care about draft picks, though.
They ought to start caring.
Those picks left.
They might want to start caring, considering their team now is like duct tape and Band-Aids, and they have like 5 guys eating up 75% of the cap. Maybe keep a couple picks less. Maybe consider that. Last year you drew an inside straight and had to play nobody all the way to the playoffs. Like maybe consider this time, I don't know, a draft pick might be a good thing. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about 2 teams that have proven themselves to be garbage. Detroit at home against the Packers. Of course, just talked about the Packers. The Packers are favored by 3.5 at Ford Field. The total 49.5. Listen, I don't know what the hell to do with this.
Yeah,
Detroit sucks.
Yeah. The
Packers have sucked for a month. You feel like if the Packers lose this game, this might be a press conference where Rodgers actually goes after somebody physically. Like I think we've reached that point where some poor reporter is going to be like, so Aaron, like, what happened out there on 3rd and 9? And that's where he just comes down off the podium and tries to strangle somebody. Like we get a for those who observe, we get the Calipari Cheney moment where John Cheney comes into the room and just starts screaming, "I'll kill you." Like that actually might be where we're at with this. Like we're this close, right? To somebody just going, Aaron, 3rd and 7 there in the 3rd quarter. What I'll kill you. So I'm taking the over because I don't know what the hell else to do with this game.
Yeah.
Detroit scores 1 million points at home every week, but just sucks so bad on defense that it doesn't matter. The Packers are brutal offensively, but Detroit seems to make everybody well on that side of the football. And if I get a game that goes 31-20, 27-24, I win. I'm taking the over, man. I have no idea. This could either be where the Packers get well. This could also be where you just go, okay, they're done. That's enough of them for the rest of the year. I don't know. So I'm taking the over and rooting for points.
Yeah, I think the over is probably a good bet. This is probably my least confident bet of the slate here today. I'm taking Lions +3. I don't really know why, though. The Detroit offense still statistically a very good offense.
That's never good.
No, it's not. But I do have to bet every single game. I think it's going to be a close game. So in a close game, divisional game, Packers are on the road. And I think Lions have covered, 6 straight against the Packers at Detroit.
Really?
Yeah, they've actually they haven't won in many of those games, if any, but they usually cover the spread against the Packers at home. Their offense is still good. I think they can run the ball against this Packers defense. The Bills last week got 5.7 yards per carry against the Packers defense. Packers defense can't stop the run, and the Lions have been pretty solid at running the ball. I think Swift is officially active for this game, so yes. I think the Lions can score enough to keep this game close. I think it is going to be kind of one of those games that comes down to the last drive. So if that's the case, then I'll take the team getting 3 points, but certainly not a bet I'm confident in. I don't really know what to do with this game either.
I got to tell you, as someone, listen, whatever, no dog in a fight, obviously. I just want to see it be close with like 2 minutes left. And I want to see Rodgers with the ball. That's what I want. I'm rooting for just total, complete panic and chaos. All right. Another NFC North team, the leader of the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings, on the road at FedEx Field, taking on the Washington Commanders. The Commanders won 3 straight. Minnesota has won 5 straight. And the Vikings are laying a field goal. The total is 43.5, 78 degrees in Washington. I know I'm mentioning the weather a little more than normal this week, but I'm just blown away by the weather. My God, it feels like a game that you play the second week of the season. 2 teams on win streaks. 2 teams with quarterbacks who you never know what you're getting. Although Cousins is obviously better than Heineke. Where are you headed on this one? You like Washington? You like Minnesota?
Another one. I'm on the total. I'm on a lot of totals this week. I'm on another over here. Over 43.5. With this low of a total, I would save these kinds of totals for games involving at least one really good defense, but that's not the case in this game, especially the Vikings defense, who I think the Vikings are kind of fraudulent, by the way. I know they're 6-1 or whatever, but their stats don't really hold up. And a big reason why is their defense, 28th in opponent yards per play, 31st in opponent yards per pass. And I think the most important stat for the over here is the Vikings have the worst red zone defense in the NFL. Big thing that I look at, a big stat I look at when betting on totals is red zone efficiency, because whether those red zone trips result in touchdowns or field goals obviously plays a huge factor in the total going over or under. And the Vikings have the worst red zone defense in the NFL. So hopefully Washington can score touchdowns when they get down close to the goal line. Hopefully the Vikings offense can do what we've seen it do at times. And we just go over this total. I think 43.5 is way too low of a total for a game involving this bad of a defense. So I'll take the over and hope for the best. If I was betting on the spread, I'd probably go Commanders with the points, just because I don't think the Vikings are as good as the record indicates. I think it's a bit of a sell high spot on them.
I don't disagree. And also, by the way, great points on that defense. I mean, so they're terrible yards per play. They're terrible against the pass. They're terrible in the red zone. Other than that, they're good. So, listen, if you want to run the ball into the line, okay. I'm taking Washington +3. I think they've got a 3.5, I believe. Although it's just Miami -5, which Miami might be able to cover 5 against either one of these teams. I don't know. No, I'm taking Washington against the spread. I feel like I don't feel like it's an even game. That's what I was going to say, and I don't feel that way. I don't feel like it's an even game. I feel like it's a very unpredictable game. And it's one of those games where Cousins could come out and throw for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards. I wouldn't be surprised. It's also the kind of game where Cousins could come out and throw for $180 and 2 picks. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, why not? I also wonder, and maybe this is just me wondering this, and I'm way off base. Like, it came out late this week that the Commanders might be up for sale.
Yes.
Like, does that make a huge difference today with the fans in that stadium? That place has been a mausoleum for years. Nobody cares. They all hate the team. There's this apathetic, almost antagonistic feel when you watch Commanders games. Now there's this thought that they might sell this franchise after 99. So what? 23 years of pure hell. And I will tease this, by the way, to everyone listening. I wrote my column. I already wrote the lead for it on the Commanders and on the potential sale of that team. And I talked to a lot of people in the league. I mean, former GMs, coaches, agents, a lot of interesting thoughts on them selling. Also, by the way, a real blindside shot out of nowhere at the Vikings in one of the quotes. I'll let you read it and find out. But I think Washington covers, and I think Washington might win outright.
I like it.
I think Washington with here, let's close it out on this game because I think it's unpredictable, but I'm taking the points. Do you think if Heineke, if they win this game, does Heineke just keep his job when Wentz comes back?
I hope so. Unless he plays bad, like even if he has an average game, even if they lose, like Wentz stinks.
He does stink. He's not good. I think you have to, right? Like I think if you've only got him really for this year. Like, leave Heineke in there. Let him play, man. I think he's earned it at this point. All right. Let's go to another game that is Intriguing, I guess would be maybe the right word for this. The Bengals are at home taking on the Carolina Panthers, who almost beat your Falcons last week in one of the worst, best games I've ever seen. I can't imagine the amount of emotions you went through in the span of about 15 minutes. So what a crap show. Cincy at home, minus 335 from the money line. Carolina is plus 270. The line is the Bengals laying 7 points. Total 42 and a half. I'll lead us off here. So I got the Bengals. The line's come down quite a bit. Yes. I got the Bengals at 7.5. So I need them to cover even more than the actual touchdowns. I don't feel great about this. Was one of the bets I was most concerned about this week. On one hand, they're clearly better than the Panthers, and they should win this game. And they should win this game by 10-plus points. I mean, Carolina's not good. On the other hand, P.J. Walker is like oddly somewhat interesting and like keeping the Panthers around and throwing the ball down the field to DJ Moore. And I think Steve Wilkes is a good defensive mind. Like he's getting an impossible situation with this team. But now the deadline's passed. You don't have to worry about getting traded. You can kind of settle in. The Panthers obviously have been subject to a million rumors, especially since McCaffrey. The Bengals do not have Jamar Chase. Chidobe Awuzie out for the year with a torn ACL. It's a big loss. That all said, I've got to take Burrow in this game to just find a way to cover the 7.5. Like I just don't think Carolina is going to be able to hold them down. I think it's one of those games where it's kind of like, what's going to happen here? And then the third quarter, like Cincinnati pulls away. I'll take Cincinnati something like 30-20, 30-17.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching this game extra close because this is my survivor pick. The $25,000 survivor pool. I'm in 21 people left. Started with like 1,300 entries. So I'm on the Bengals. I got them at a terrible line. I got them on the opening line of minus 8.5. So I need them to win big here. But I just don't think this Panthers team is kind of as good as they've shown the past couple weeks because they upset the Buccaneers. They should have beat the Falcons if it wasn't for some missed extra point and missed field goal. But yeah. I think they were kind of playing above their head in those two games. And the weakness of the Bengals is their offensive line. If you can get after Joe Burrow, you can beat the Bengals, but the Panthers can't do that. 30th in the NFL in sack percentage. Only the Falcons and Raiders have a lower sack percentage than the Panthers. So I don't think this is a good matchup for them. Also, their offense is dead last in third down offense. That's worst mark in the NFL. Bengals are third in that statistic, so they're very good on third down. So I think the Bengals win this game. I think they win big. I think it's a bit, even though the Panthers are coming off a loss, it still kind of feels like a sell high spot on them because let's remember how bad this Panthers team was early in the year. I know obviously things have changed. PJ Walker has looked better than Baker Mayfield, to be fair. And with Matt Rule gone, they've actually probably improved a little bit. But let's not forget how bad this Panthers team really is. So I'll take the Bengals to cover.
With your survivor picks, you have to cover the spread, or is it just straight up?
Just straight up.
Okay. I was just curious if you were going to be sweating out the number, or if I was like, okay, that would have been really impressive.
Just need them to win here. So, yeah, and we're in a pretty good spot. We still have the Bills, haven't used the Chiefs, so we're set up for the next few weeks. So it's a sweat.
Okay. I give it to you. Those survivor pools every year. You're like, no problem. So-and-so is going to kill this team in like week 3, and then everybody gets knocked out. All right. Let's go to a game. I got to tell you, this involves your team.
Oh, boy.
This game fascinates me to no end. Dirty Birds at home playing the Chargers. Chargers laying 2.5. Total's 49.5. I'm going to let you take the floor on this one. You go right ahead. Falcons, Chargers in a game where, considering who the two teams are, anything's on the table. Fire away.
Yeah, I will say I've been bad betting on Falcons games this year. See, I feel like I'm on the wrong side every single game. If I bet on them, they don't cover. If I bet against them, they cover. So maybe you want to take the Falcons here this week because unfortunately I'm on the Los Angeles Chargers -3. We saw last week, the Falcons secondary already not good, but they're top heavy, especially with AJ Terrell. With AJ Terrell out, I think I could throw for 300 yards against the secondary. PJ Walker completely lit them up, and now they have to take on Justin Herbert, who, not to mention, Justin Herbert's, he might have like 8 seconds to throw every time he drops back, because the Chargers have a fantastic pass protection. They have the lowest QB sacked percentage. Now they're taking on a Falcons defense that's second last in QB sack percentage. So they have no pass rush going up against one of the better pass protecting offensive lines in the NFL. But also, I mean, to make an argument for the Falcons run the ball a lot, and they run the ball very effectively, and the Chargers can't stop the run either. So you might want to look at the over if you want to bet the total in this game. But even though the Falcons should be able to run the ball successful, I think Justin Herbert might throw for a touchdown every single time the Chargers get the ball, because their secondary, without my boy A.J. Terrell in the lineup for the Falcons, their secondary is depleted, to put it lightly. So I know they got the guy from the Chiefs. Was it Fenton?
Yeah, Rashad Fenton.
I mean, hopefully he'll help a little bit because they need it, but I'd rather have AJ Terrell. If AJ Terrell was playing, I might lean Atlanta, but their secondary's depleted.
Okay, so I'm glad you got all that out.
You're going to take my Falcons.
This is my favorite bet of the entire week. I'm taking the Falcons on the line because the Falcons should be favored in this game.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I am very hit or miss with my gambling picks. If there's one thing I have hit on over and over and over, yes, it has been my picks. Look at that. There it is. Beautiful. The Dirty Birds. My picks have been good on the Falcons, and my picks have been, dare I say, prescient on the Chargers.
That's true.
The Chargers stink. Okay, yes. I know they're 4-3, and everybody looks at Herbert. I wrote a column on Friday, actually more of like a feature piece, I guess. And I tweeted out, like, you know what's going to save them? Sean Payton next year. That's what's going to save them. Because, and it went nuts. Like, I can't tell you how many Chargers fans followed me based off that. They're like, thank you. Thank you for understanding what's wrong with this franchise. Yes, their coaching is awful. Everybody gets so caught up in this stuff with Brendan Staley with 4th down, and they missed the more important part of it. Joe Lombardi thinks a deep ball is a swing pass.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, you watch this game, and you watch how many times they throw the ball more than 10 yards in the air. You count on one hand. Every pass is just dunk it off, get it to Eckler, get it to Eckler, get it to Eckler. Like you said, they have a good offensive line. They don't have a good offensive line. He throws the ball in a second. If he actually has to drop back, they're completely screwed. They have no ability to do anything. They cannot run the ball. They can't go deep. They have no Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. Joshua Palmer is also out. Their number one receiver in this game is DeAndre Carter. Like, they have nobody to throw. Like, Eckler's legs are going to fall off in this game. Lombardi's going to just open the window of the press box and just start screaming, throw it to Eckler, throw it to Eckler. I mean, that's where we're at this point. Defensively, Bosa's out. J.C. Jackson, unfortunately, gone for the year. They are giving up 5.7 yards an attempt. That is insane. Excuse me, per carry, yards per carry.
Yes.
The Falcons are going to run for 300 yards in this game. I am taking the Falcons. I'm not even sweating this. They are coming all the way across the country. By the way, the Chargers might be the only team in the history of this sport that got more injured off a bye. I've never seen that happen in my life. The Chargers went into their bye week, came out of it, and put 3 more guys on IR. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. Do they practice on gravel? The hell's going on out there? So I am taking the Falcons to win the game. The Chargers' next 5 games, at Atlanta, at the Niners, who are coming off a bye, the Chiefs at home, which is going to feel like a road game. Then they're at Arizona and at the Raiders. Here's my hot take for this. They're going 1-4. Every team's going to run the ball except for the Chiefs will just throw for 450 yards. I have no faith in the Chargers to win any of these games because they're not well coached and they can't stop the run. Mike, the Niners next Sunday night, they may not throw the ball once. I actually went back and looked. You know the last time a team didn't throw the ball in a football game in the NFL? You know what it was? 1950. The Browns played the Philadelphia Eagles. It was the second time that year they played them. There's actually really quick, since we have a little bit of time. Funny story about this. So the first game in 1950 was the Browns and the Eagles. The Eagles were defending champions, two-time defending champions. And the Browns were coming in from the old All-America Football Conference. It was a merger. And everybody thought the Browns were going to get killed, even though they'd won all the 4 AAFC titles because, it's not a real league, blah, blah, blah. The Browns come in and kill them. They throw the ball all over the field, 35-14, they win the game. After the game, the Eagles head coach is like, they only won that game because of all this forward pass nonsense. And we don't know how to deal with the forward pass because it's 1950. So Paul Brown, when they played him again in December, was like, fuck you guys. We won't throw the ball one time and we'll kick your ass. And that's what they did.
That's great.
That's the last time a team in the NFL has not thrown a pass in the game. We might see it next weekend with the Niners and the Chargers. That might be it. Keep an eye out. Taking the Falcons. Dirty Birds. Money line. Screw it. Let's go, baby. All right. Let's keep this train rolling here. I've derailed it a bit. Jacksonville at home against the Raiders. The Raiders are laying 2.5 for reasons that remain somewhat unclear. And at the same point, I also kind of get it. Rain in the forecast. Total's 48.5. Is this one of your total bets, or are you going one side here or the other?
No, I'm going Jaguars money line in this one. I think
All right.
both offenses are pretty comparable, but the Jaguars defense is head and shoulders above the Raiders defense. You look at the Raiders defensive numbers here, 27th in opponent yards per pass, 30th in opponent completion percentage, dead last in sack percentage. They can't get after the quarterback, 29th in third down defense, 31st in red zone defense. Their defense might be the worst defense in the entire NFL. I know the Jaguars' record isn't good, but they're 9th in the NFL in net yards per play, which tells me that I think we're going to see some positive regression from them when it comes to winning games. They're doing things right. They're moving the ball. They're playing decent defense. Turnovers are kind of killing them. Trevor Lawrence, for some reason, just loves throwing interceptions in the end zone. But I think this is a good spot for them to bounce back here with a win. I think they should be slight favorites at home, but they're slight underdogs. So I'll just go ahead and take them on the money line. I have no faith. I think this Raiders team is done.
So listen, I am a dope. I've never hidden that. Fansided continues to employ me for reasons that no one can figure out. They're too lazy to post a job. I looked at this game and said to myself, why the hell are the Raiders favored in this game? They have not been good. They just got shut out by the Saints.
Right.
Waller is probably out, and he is now out officially. I don't get it. And yet, like a dope, I took the Raiders minus 1.5. I don't know why. I don't know. You know what I think it was? I watched Jacksonville in London and went, oh my God. But then I also watched the Raiders in New Orleans and had even a worse reaction. I have no idea why I went this way. None. I'm ashamed and appalled with it. I actually like your bet better than mine. I should have just taken Jacksonville. I don't know why I didn't. You know what, man? I think it's just one of these games where it's like I just looked at it and went, both these teams stink. Just give me the better quarterback. I think that was pretty much my reasoning. But I also think this is the kind of game where anything possible it can happen. I mean, I can see Jacksonville blowing the Raiders out. I can see Jacksonville having 5 turnovers and getting blown out. I mean, I can see this coming down to Carlson trying to kick a 65-yarder at the gun. And both coaches simultaneously trying to call timeout. I mean, who the hell knows? I'll take the Raiders. It's the bet I feel the worst about this week because I have absolutely no confidence. I think they're both awful. Let's just stop talking about it. All right. Arizona in the late window, the only 4:05 game. There's only 2 late window games. That's I basically take a vacation, I guess, to write my column. Arizona at home against Seattle. This is a rematch. A couple weeks ago, Seattle won at home over the Cardinals, only gave up 3 defensive points. Arizona laying 1.5, totals 48.5. I will kick us off here. Can anyone explain to me why the hell the Cardinals are favored in this game? Why are they favored? They're not good. And everybody who's like, well, it's a home game. It's a home game. It's going to sound like a road game. They have about 8 fans are going to show up at that game. And Seattle's going to pack that place. Like, give me Seattle on the money line. Give it to me. Like, what? Why am I getting points? Seattle's better. I mean, I understood early in the year, because God knows I was with you, like people that go, I don't know, man, Geno Smith. He's been good.
Yes.
Like, how long do you have to watch this before you're just like, look, I don't know if this is a one-off deal, and maybe he's a pumpkin next year or whatever. He's good this year. That team is decent. And by the way, the early part of the year, they were a mess defensively. That has not been the case in recent weeks. I, self-proclaimed dope, went against them against the Giants last week. I gave you crap for taking the Giants to falter. The Giants, fraudulent in that game. I'm the idiot who backed Big Blue. I don't make this mistake again. The Cardinals are not good. By the way, the other thing with the Cardinals, the first half of games with the Cardinals is a complete tire fire every week. So give me Seattle to get out to a lead and handle business.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Seahawks probably should be small favorites in this one. We keep expecting the Cardinals to like pick things up, but them just like a lot of other teams, like the Packers, like the Rams, they just haven't. They might just be a bad team, but I'm going to go with the under. I love the under in this game. My favorite total bet on the entire board. The Seahawks defense is doing what it's done the past couple seasons, where they're the worst defense in the NFL through the first few weeks, and then around the halfway point of the season, they pick things up. Because if you look at each team's last 3 games in the NFL, it is the Seattle Seahawks who rank second in opponent yards per play. Their defense the past few weeks has just all of a sudden become one of the best defenses in the NFL. So we're seeing some positive regression from their defense. We're seeing some regression from their offense because their offense has done the opposite. Season-long yards per play, 6.0. Over the last 3 games, 5.1. So the Seahawks were a fantastic overbet to start the year. I think they now become a team that you want to bet the under on. The Cardinals defense also kind of trended in the right direction. They're still only like middle of the pack over their last 3 games in a lot of areas, but they were like bottom 5 to start the year. So I think the total's a little too high. I like the under. If I was going to pick a side, though, I would go the Seahawks. But it's one of those ones that seems so obvious to take the Seahawks that it makes me nervous.
Okay. Well, you appear to be on the right side because you got the number at 50 and it's 48.5 now. So
yes,
it is shrinking by the minute here. All right, 425. When you looked at this game before the year started, you're like, man, it's going to be a good game.
Yep.
And now you look at it, you're like, man, it's going to be a bad game. It's not good. The Rams at Raymond James Stadium taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The line, Bucs laying a field goal. The total is now 42.5. It is going to rain. It is almost 90 degrees down in Florida. You like the Bucs or the Rams here? We're on opposite sides.
I'm on the Buccaneers. I'll lay the points of the Buccaneers. The Rams stink. I'm done trying to think that they might bounce back at some point. They're 31st in yards per play. They're quite literally the second worst offense in the entire NFL. These are the defending Super Bowl champions. I don't know what happened. I think it has to do with their offensive line a lot because they can't run the ball. They can't protect Matt Stafford, 28th in QB sack percentage. And now they have to take on a Tampa Bay defense that has the 3rd best sack percentage. So their offensive line is once again going to be in for a long day. But the biggest reason why I like this bet is because no teams throw the ball more than the Buccaneers and the Rams, 1st and 2nd in pass play percentage. So if you take a look at how each team defends the pass, huge advantage for the Buccaneers, 4th in opponent yards per pass attempt. Rams are 25th. So just about every single area I look at, I think the Buccaneers have a pretty significant statistical advantage. I have no more faith in the Rams whatsoever. Their offense stinks. Their offensive line stinks. Their defense, which was an elite unit last year, is now all of a sudden average to below average. One of these teams is going to bounce back today. I'll bet on it being the Buccaneers.
So I think both teams stink. I'm going to take the Bucs to win the game like 23-21. So I'm taking the points. I'm going to take the Rams. Normally, if I think a team's going to win and the spread is less than a field goal, I just take that team. But I have a feeling this game's going to be really close. I was like all going into the week, I'm like, man, maybe the under. But then the under the total's so low. I said, I don't know. I don't love it. You want to know what the Rams' problem is? The line's terrible, and Allen Robinson is putting up the numbers of a receiving back. He has 22 catches for 224 yards. Allen Robinson had 14 touchdown receptions with Blake Bortles in 2015. Since then, 7 years since then, after having 14 touchdown catches in 1 year, he now has 26 over the last 7 years. So he in the end zone, not friends. I'm going to take the points. I think both these teams are bad. I think whoever wins is going to feel slightly better, but they're still going to realize they're bad. And whoever loses, it might be good night.
Yep.
The Bucs have the benefit of the division being bad, but
that division runs through Atlanta.
It does currently. You have no faith in the dirty. But here, I sit here every week and sing their praises. It's a shame what's gone on over there.
Listen, not to talk too much about Falcons here, because I know we've already talked about this game. I have no faith in them this week, but then the next 4 weeks, they play the Panthers, Bears, Commanders, and Steelers. They might go 4-0 in that stretch.
I know. I'm here for all. Listen, I want to see the Falcons in a playoff game for no other reason, because the ending's going to be unbelievable. So I'm
going to blow a big lead.
Like, no matter how it shakes, I don't know who they're playing. That game is going to be Younghoe Koo from downtown for a 62-yarder at the gun. I'm here for all of it, man. All right. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs off a bye at home, minus 560 on the money line against the Tennessee Titans, who are plus 420. The line is Kansas City by 12.5. The biggest line of the day. 50 degrees and clear, very little wind. So no factor in terms of the weather. Total 45.5. Now, let's also set the scene on this. This is the one game. There's a lot of intrigue in terms of who the hell is playing quarterback. Don't know if it's going to be Tannehill or Malik Willis. Tannehill is dealing with the ankle that he's been dealing with all week. He's been limited twice. He didn't practice once. I don't know where the hell you go with the quarterback. Look, I will say this. If they have to play Willis in this game, that could get ugly. Like, I just don't, and I actually love his upside. He can't throw the ball. I mean, he just right now in the NFL can't throw the ball. You have been pounding on the Titans all year long. Both these teams are 5-2, and the Chiefs are almost laying 2 touchdowns. What is your thought on the line? Where are you going?
Listen, on this show, I've kind of been hard on the Chiefs all season. I know a lot of Chiefs fans watch this, but I'm going to be on the Chiefs side today in a big way. The Kansas City Chiefs, I think, might win this game by 1 million points. I took them minus 10.5, the opening line. I'm going to take their alternate minus 20.5 line.
Wow.
I might go alternate line minus 29.5. They're going to kill the Titans. It's not even going to be close. It's going to be over by the end of the first quarter. It's going to be a bloodbath tonight. The Titans stink. 28th in net yards per play this season, and they've had by far the easiest schedule. They've played the Giants, Bills, Raiders, Colts, Commanders, Colts, and Texans. The only good team they played against was the Bills, and they lost 41-7. Derrick Henry, sure, he had a good game last week. That was against the Texans, though. And the Chiefs have done a pretty decent job stopping the run, 7th in opponent yards per carry this season. So the Chiefs are going to win by 1 million points tonight. 1 million.
Okay, so
don't take the Titans.
Okay.
Don't tell me you're on the Titans.
I'm not. No,
okay,
I'm not. I almost did just because I want to see your head explode.
It wasn't no explode.
No, I know. No, I am taking the Chiefs minus 12.5. Listen, and by the way, it's pointed out, and it's true. It is now 13.5. So, you know what? There is a part of me, knowing the Chiefs, that knows this game is going to be one of these games where, like, it's halftime and my brain's leaking out of my ear because it's 13-10 and they're screwing around and like Andy called like a halfback option pass and Clyde Edwards-Helaire throws a pick 6. Like I'm just ready to go out of my mind. And then they come out in the second half, score 30 straight points. I think the problem the Titans have in this game, among many, and like you've laid out all year long, yards per play, they're terrible. They're terrible in yards per drive, all this stuff. The problem the Titans have, and Lucas is pointing out, like they're well coached, which they are. They have a good running game. Here's the issue. If the Titans get behind in this game by any meaningful margin, they're done. They have no ability to throw the ball. They have no receivers. They cannot pass block. The defense is good up front. They cannot cover. The Chiefs are just going to get open in this game. And if they get open, it's a wrap. I mean, they'll run for days. Byard's a great safety. There's nobody. I mean, they are going to throw on these corners. And like the one problem they also have is the best rusher they have is on the interior. Well, that's where the Chiefs are great. The Chiefs interior, it's awesome. So I think it's just going to be one of these games where the Chiefs get up like 10-0, and it's just like, well, you got to start throwing it, and good night. That's it. So I like the Chiefs to win. I don't think they win by 1 million. I think they win like
1 million.
37 and I think I picked it 34-14 or 34-17. So I'll say 34-17. But it is funny. Like, how often do you see a spread now 13.5 points? I mean, they're both 5-2.
Oh, records mean nothing.
I mean, yeah, all right. But I mean, I defy somebody do this who has more time than me today. When is the last time a team that was 5-2 was getting almost 2 touchdowns? So, and by the way, as Lucas points out, I think he's right with this. The line would make you think Vegas believes Willis is playing in this game. Yes. I mean, I think that's fair to say. And if he play, I will say this: my score prediction was with Tannehill. If Willis plays in this game, yeah, this could be like 44-7. All right, Monday Night Football: Saints at home, the Superdome against the Ravens. The Ravens are beat up, man. Gus Edwards is doubtful. Mark Andrews is doubtful. Rashad Bateman is out for the year. That all said, Ravens laying 1.5, so basically a pick 'em. 47.5 is the total in the Dome. I'll be brief. I took the Ravens minus 2.5. That was early this week. I'm concerned now with all these injuries. Look, I'm still going to take him. I think Lamar finds a way to get it done. But I got to tell you, it's a kind of a game where it's a tough place to play. The Saints are in the playoff hunt because of the division. The Ravens' defense hasn't been good, but it's been a little better. Now they're getting Roquan Smith. I'm going to take the Ravens to win by a field goal. But it's other than the Raiders bet, it's probably the bet I feel least confident about.
Yeah, I'm just taking the over in this one. I said I was on a lot of totals this week, and I'm usually not a big totals guy, but this is another over. I think the Saints' offense has become extremely underrated this season, 5th in yards per play.
Very good.
Only the Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, and Lions averaging more yards per play than the Saints. Now, the issue with the Saints and why they have the record that they do is because they turn the ball over way too much, and they don't get turnovers on defense. But if Andy Dalton wants to throw another pick 6, hey, that's going to do nothing but help the overhitting. And then the Ravens offense, we all know how good they are. I know how banged up they are, but they're still a very good unit here. Saints are also 7th in red zone offense. I'm just going to take the over because I don't really know what to do with the side. I think the spread's probably set right. I do think the Saints are an underrated team. Like I said, they're dead last in turnover, average turnover margin. I think it's minus 1.1 a game. That's why the record is what it is. If they did a better job of either not turning it over or getting turnovers on defense, their record would be a lot better than what it is. But also I don't really have too much interest in taking them over the Ravens. So I'm just going to root for points in this one. I think both offenses can get it done.
All right, fair enough. I can see that. I don't hate that over bet. All right, let's get the hell out of here. It is 11:53 Central, 12:53 Eastern. We are getting ready for the early kickoffs. Enjoy the games. Good luck to all of your teams. I'm going to sit down and flip on Red Zone. I might actually on another screen have Falcons Chargers. I am fascinated by that game. All right. Thank you for watching. Appreciate everybody joining us here. Stacking the Box, Bet-Sided, Iain MacMillan. Check out Bet-Sided, of course. Fanside.com/BetSide, where you can find Ian. You can find Ben Heisler, who everybody I'm sure is familiar with on this channel by now. You find Peter Dewey, who is a suffering Knicks fan like I am. We remain in deep pain. But unlike Peter, I have the Devils, who are an absolute wagon of a hockey team at this point.
Yes.
It's to the point that Fabian Zetterlund, who people are like, who is just ripping one-timers to win games in Calgary? It's unbelievable. It's like a fever dream that I hope never ends. All right. Thank you for joining us. For Iain MacMillan, I am Matt Verderame. Good luck to your teams today. You'll see me again if you're a Chiefs fan later tonight on the half game and the post game show on Arrowhead Addict. Also, make sure to check out the pregame show with Patrick Allen. And then Tuesday, I'm back right here, live and in color with Sterling Holmes and Bet-Sided's Ben Heisler. Thanks a lot for checking us out. Good luck to your teams. Talk to you real soon.